made contact and shattered.
At some point, Chris locates what's called a dry bag.
Law enforcement had considered Laundrie the only person of interest in the murder of his fiancée, Gabby Petito.
Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
Turn it over to another agency. Let's get some help.
Hello? John.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here for an afternoon live stream. Sorry about the morning one. It kind of got pushed back because we had a power outage. And since I share video files and stuff like that I edit together, I couldn't go off of the Wi-Fi just from my phone, because I know that some people like to live stream like from their phone, but as you guys know, I edit stuff together. So I sort of needed like everything to be back on so that I can stream it that way. So luckily I have some people from the West Coast who are able to join us because it's a little bit later in the day. So hello, Crazy Crime Chick. Thanks for being here. Insanely Confused. Hi, Mike. April, I'm so glad you were here again, because I know some of you guys been popping in since 8 this morning when it was supposed to go on. So thank you so much for stopping back and checking to see if this was still scheduled. So thank you so much for everyone being here. And actually, since this is all out of my normal schedule, I just wanted to thank the replay viewers, because I think you guys are going to pretty much be thrown off guard by me being live right now. So I feel like I might get a lot more replay viewers. Hi, Mandy. So yeah, thank you guys for being here. We have a lot to go through. Obviously, we're talking about the Debbie Collier case. And I try to be a little bit Halloweenish with my Nirvana incesticide sweatshirt and my little scrunchie. I was trying to be a little bit, Halloween, because I'm not in my office, so I can't really decorate Halloween stuff. But here we are, guys. So let's get this going. So, oh, good. I'm glad you're just waking up, Crazy. So that's good. And hopefully Valerie will come in here too, because I know she's West Coast also. All right. So let me play some updates that I've pre-recorded and edited together. And then I want to just go through the court TV segment, and then I've got other sources that I want to just share with you guys too. So we'll get it going. So thank you so much for being here. If you haven't hit that like button, I really appreciate it. So thank you so much again. A 6-week-old murder investigation in Habersham County may not have been murder after all. Sources close to the investigation into the death of Debbie Collier now say she may have died as a result of an accident or unalived herself. We may live in a world where we never know for sure, the source says. Cryptic message sent from Family Dollar. The biggest revelation in recent days was the discovery that a cryptic message and Venmo payment sent to Collier's daughter Amanda Bearden apparently came from Debbie Collier's phone. At 3:17 p.m. on September 10th, Debbie sent her daughter Amanda Bearden $2,385 through Venmo payment app. Along with the money, she sent a message that read, "They are not going to let me go. Love you. There is a key to the house in the blue flower pot by the door." Sources tell Now Habersham the message was sent during the time that Debbie is known to have been sitting in her rented van in the parking lot of Family Dollar in Clayton, Georgia. She also reportedly sent a text to her son saying, "I love you," but that text later found in subpoenaed phone records didn't go through. Shortly after the messages were sent on Saturday, September 10th, Debbie's phone went silent. She drove away from the Family Dollar at 3:19 and was found dead in the woods near Tallulah Falls, about 12 miles south of Clayton 22 hours later. Gas can experiment. That chilling message and Venmo payment captured investigators and the media's attention because it indicated a possible kidnapping. However, within weeks of launching their investigation, Habersham County Sheriff's investigators dismissed the possibility that Debbie was abducted. They zeroed in on people close to Debbie, and as they did, the scrutiny surrounding her husband Steve
and Amanda and her boyfriend, Andrew, intensified. Investigators questioned them and executed search warrants at their homes in Athens. And although investigators never publicly identified suspects or person of interest in the case, Habersham County Chief Deputy Murray Kogod insisted that Debbie Collier's death was personal and targeted. Kogod may now be looking for a way to backtrack on that statement. While the state medical examiner has not released a final autopsy report, sources tell now Habersham it appears Debbie Collier may have died from suffocation as a result of a fire that she herself may have started. Her injuries were consistent with those of someone caught in a flash fire, possibly caused by gasoline vapors igniting. An arson analysis confirmed the presence of gasoline on her clothes. While investigators knew from the outset that the accelerant was used, the absence of a gas container at the scene caused them to suspect someone else was present and had removed the container. After conducting an experiment, investigators confirmed a plastic container could have melted in the fire. It was at that point, weeks into the case, that detectives returned to the scene where Debbie's body was found and recovered what appeared to be the burned remnants of a gas can, awaiting official cause and manner of death. Debbie appears to have initially survived the fire, which charred her lap and abdomen and apparently burned off the Georgia Bulldog jersey she was wearing. She was found grasping a small tree in her hand as if she grabbed onto it to keep from falling. The items she bought at the Family Dollar store were found near the partially nude, burned body. The QR code on a burned blue tarp is what led investigators to the Family Dollar store. That discovery ultimately led to the CCTV footage with the last known images of Debbie alive. Whether her death was accidental or intentional remains to be seen. Murdered Debbie Collier's son claims Georgia sheriff snickered at request for help. Debbie Collier's son blasted the Georgia Sheriff's Department investigating his mother's murder, claiming Wednesday the sheriff in charge laughed at him and dismissed his concerns during a phone call. In a bizarre case, Collier was reported missing on September 10th by her daughter, who said she sent her a cryptic text transferring money to her. She was found the next day in a wooded ravine with jarring on her abdomen about 60 miles north of her Athens home. 6 weeks after her death that was ruled a homicide, police have yet to make an arrest and have revealed very little about their investigation. I made the poor decision today to reach out to Habersham County law enforcement, her son Jeffrey Bearden wrote on Facebook about the cops tasked with finding his mother's murderer. I was met with a sheriff who did not empathize with my situation. My concerns for my personal and family's safety after being doxxed online and potential leaks coming out of his office, the grieving son wrote, he instead used his time to snicker at my attempts to discuss my concerns and to tell me directly that he wasn't trying to hang up on me when pressing him on his office's actions. Debbie's daughter Amanda has been questioned by the police over her mom's death. Bearden said the elected sheriff's attitude and lack of understanding does not give me faith or confidence in their ability. He said before he called the cops to check in on the case, he had heard almost nothing from the Habersham County Sheriff's Office. I have been patiently waiting on my hands for weeks now for any type of information to understand what happened to my mother. Meanwhile, the Northeast Georgian reported on Wednesday investigators from the department expect Collier's case to be solved soon. We have made very significant progress and are close to a breakthrough, Kogod told the paper. Kogod has not responded to repeated requests for comment from the Post, but the sheriff's office has previously said that they are awaiting toxicology reports and an autopsy information from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, who are assisting in the case. Debbie's brutal murder rocked Athens, and her daughter Amanda's boyfriend Andrew told the Post last month that police had interviewed the couple and confiscated their phones, adding he felt her family were being treated as suspects. Collier's autopsy has yet to be released, And the Georgia Bureau of Investigation conducting the report did not return a request for comment on Wednesday. Today I woke feeling emboldened to continue on this journey of understanding why and how all of this transpired. I have been patiently waiting on my hands for weeks now for any type of information to understand what happened to my mother. My family and I have been forced to navigate moments we could have never expected. To say it's been surreal is an understatement. While feeling emboldened to help protect my mother and my family's safety, I made the poor decision today to reach out to Habersham County law enforcement. After several attempts and requests to be up to date on any information regarding my mother's case, Debbie Collier, I finally found myself on the phone with Habersham County Sheriff to express my concerns. My goal in the conversation was to request to be updated on any press briefings, releases, and any pertinent information since my other attempts were not panning out as promised. I was met with a sheriff who did not empathize with my situation, my concerns for my personal and family's safety after being doxxed online, or potential leaks coming out of his office, despite several media outlets claiming sources in his own department. He instead used his time to snicker and laugh at my attempts to discuss my concerns and tell me directly that he wasn't trying to hang up on me when pressing him on his office's actions. Additionally, he claimed that some sort of the errors regarding poor communication came from short staffing. But he did remind me that the press has the right to free speech. Well, so do I. So I feel compelled to share my experience with the sheriff because I hung up on him abruptly after he continued to snicker despite my request for him not to laugh at my situation. Unfortunately, the elected sheriff's attitude and lack of understanding does not give me faith or confidence in the ability to handle her deliberate and personal death, nor does his inability to understand my concerns regarding leaks of information that I assume is only known by those directly working the investigation. I'm no longer feeling emboldened. Now I'm feeling really stuck in a hard place, and I'm asking for the internet's help in this situation to remind me how much people actually care and love for my mother, Debbie Collier.
Okay, everyone. Again, thank you everyone who is joining, and please give a like if you haven't already. So that was a little bit of a run through of the newest information. Now I kind of want to go through and kind of build a scene and just a timeline and just a bigger picture of what was going on in Debbie's life leading up to her passing. Again, we are all wondering what the heck happened. I think I seen Mike say something about, we all kind of got to know her. And yeah, we got to know Debbie. No matter what happened, it's such a sad case. She seemed like such a good soul. Exactly. I feel like we're just invested right now, just like we were in the Kylie Rodney case and so many other cases where the death is just sort of a mystery and we're just kind of waiting on pins and needles to find out the toxicology and all that. And Brittany asked who leaked the autopsy. Are you saying because of the information in that article and just the Sun basically saying like, how is this information coming out of your office, Sheriff? Like, what's going on? And apparently, he's asked the sheriff, come to me if you have new stuff or reach out to us. Like, why are these leaks happening? So it's just crazy. Like, what I want to do is kind of go back and check the statement from the medical examiner, commentary guy, Joseph Morris, I think his name is, for Court TV, and kind of go back and refresh on what he was stating about self-immolation. And before we rewind, let's rewind back to May 2021, and then we'll watch this little stuff, and then I'll kind of share my notes and just questions that I have, and I've pieced together some images and statements and stuff like that I want to bring to your guys' attention and talk through with you guys. So let me just play this again. She passed early in September, and we are just trying to figure out what actually happened. So leading up to her death, we're just going to paint a bigger picture of what was going on in her life. So let's do that, because if they're going to claim that this was not a homicide possibly and that she did this to herself, then we kind of need to figure out like if there were anything even from a year ago that maybe would lead us to think that that's the conclusion. I'm not really feeling that way, but I think that we need to think about all sides pretty much so that we can debunk stuff too.
Hi, my name is Debbie Collier. I own the property at 1332 Tallahassee Road. Andrew Geigerich is there breaking out the windows in my property, trying to break in on my daughter. I am so sick of him destroying my property. Please arrest him, and if I need to meet you out there, I will.
Breaking out the windows.
If he's out there breaking out the windows, he broke my daughter's bedroom window right now.
Alright, looks like the daughter's also calling in about it.
Okay, good.
Alright, well, we got him on the way, okay?
Alright, honey, thank you so much.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
So that was a 911 call from Debbie stating that Andrew was at one of her properties, the ones that I'm assuming they were living at, and destroying it. They were having a DV situation, it sounds like. And that same month, 2021, over a year ago at this point, allegedly Andrew had left this letter for Amanda, which states a bunch of stuff that is blurred out, but then it also says, if you or your family ever come near me again, I will hurt them. So just to give all this a bigger picture leading up to the timeline of her death, this is what's taking place in Debbie's sort of home life, I guess you could say, or personal life, her relationship with her daughter, and the relationship her daughter has with this Andrew guy. So far, nothing leads me to think that Debbie was fed up with life and wanted to end things herself. So I would just like to also give a trigger warning to the live stream today, because obviously we are going to theorize about different avenues of what happened to Debbie, which involves unaliving herself. So I just wanted to give a little trigger warning there.
What happened? What time did he show up?
He started messaging me on Facebook.
Yeah.
I thought we were broken up.
Yeah.
Video. My window was previously broken.
This one?
Yeah. He was trying to break it in, and he messaged people on Facebook, my friends, saying that I was cheating on him.
Yeah.
I never cheated on anybody in my life. I don't know where he gets his ideas. I was just like, okay, psycho, have a good day.
Right.
And the next thing I know, he's at my front. He's at the front door.
Gotcha.
He's probably been here. I might have called 911 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay.
After
he was here and y'all talking through the door?
Yeah.
Okay. Did y'all get face to face or anything? Yeah. Is it just through the door? You just knew it was him?
He scared me.
Okay.
There's proof of her stealing my money, and that's all I want, is my money and my stuff.
You been living here?
I haven't recently, but she's still been taking money from my card. And that's the only reason we've had any contact, because every week she takes $500 or $600 from my check. And I just don't see how that's right. And she goes and does dope with my money. Like I've made over $30,000, $40,000 this year, and I'm completely broke because she spends it all on drugs. And
So that was to paint a picture of 2021. It started with that 911 call, and that was on May 12th, 2021. Debbie dialed 911, and Amanda also dialed 911, and they were calling it on Andrew, the boyfriend. And he destroyed property, a whole bunch of stuff. Amanda claimed he stole stuff from clothing of hers, etc., including underwear, I guess, and jeans. I'm not sure why. And then we've seen also the September body cam footage of their interaction. And at that point, Andrew was breaking a protection order that Amanda had. So, just to paint a bigger picture, and he's clearly mad about money, in my opinion. Amanda was in the previous body cam footage. So that was a separate incident. Well, I'm sorry. It was the same day as the body cam footage of Andrews that we just seen, but separate, that's her private conversation with the cop. And then I'm assuming, was outside with the other cop or something, but that was the same date in September. Now that we've kind of painted a year building up, again, thank you guys for being here. I'm so glad you guys joined me for an afternoon stream. Hi, Rillanex and everyone else, Roxanne. So that was 2021. Now we're going to go to this year leading up to Debbie's death. So stay with me, and we are going to go through the court TV stuff too, and some other links that I want to share with you guys and statistics, okay? As we know, she was seen at Chick-fil-A before the Family Dollar. That came out previously, but recently at the same time. So we hear she was alone there. She leaves, and she's on her way to Family Dollar, which is, quite a ways away from her house, but closer to the Chick-fil-A. Sort of the Chick-fil-A was on the way there, it seems. So when she's seen on the school cam footage here, it was a Saturday, so the school speed limit was in the lower speed limit, like 25. We figured that this road was, I think we looked it up, it was like 45 miles per hour. She's seen going 38 miles per hour there, and appears to be alone, although with the tinting of the van, we're not entirely sure. But what I have heard is this drive, like from the minute that she's seen here on this camera to the minute we see her in the CCTV footage in the parking lot of Family Dollar, it seems like, from what I've heard, I haven't mapped it out. You guys let me know, and those watching on replay, comment down below. The time that you see her in the parking lot, it seems as though she should have been there sooner. Like, the time distance from her here to the Family Dollar was a shorter distance and should have taken less time. I don't know if you guys have heard that or have mapped that out, but let me know, because I find that interesting if that's true, because that could mean maybe she pulled over. Or here's the thing with this gas can coming out of nowhere. Like, I highly doubt this rental car had the gas can or needed the gas can. You don't usually run a car with them in the car. So I'm wondering, did she stop and get gas? What was her delay a bit getting from this camera footage that we see and then the Family Dollar parking lot? So Vicky asks a good question. What was her normal mental state? So when Amanda Bearden shows up at the scene in hysterics, according to the police report, she claims, they asked her right away, did your mother have any, issues, mental issues, etc. Okay, Elma Sleuth confirms what we were just speaking on about the distance from here to the parking lot of Family Dollar. She said, I have mapped it. The time is odd. I said she, but I don't know if you're a he or whatever, but thank you so much for confirming that time distance is just a little bit strange, because, you know, she should have been in the parking lot sooner if she went right from there, you know, at this rate that she's seen here, etc. So Amanda, the daughter, confirms in the police report at the scene that her mother doesn't have any history of mental illness. So that's also interesting. And what I, you know, since we're on the topic, her being labeled as hysterical at the scene, and her just already assuming something was awful. Remember, she shows up at the scene only because the missing person report, she's named on it. So police notified her that they had found the car, the van here, because of the XM radio. So they locate it. She doesn't know what is going on. She pulls in. She's hysterical. She hasn't been told that they found her at that point. She's just been told that her car was there and that the police are on the scene. So I always am thinking, and no matter if this, what avenue they're trying to say this was, why was she so upset? Because if she's hysterical, that's a very descriptive word. So if she's in hysterics, but then also confirms that she has no history of mental illness, you know, like what tipped her off to think that something was wrong in a way, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't a car accident scene. So it wasn't like they said, yes, we found the van and it looks like it hit a tree or whatever. It was just that they had located the van. She shows up and she's in hysterics. So this whole live stream is basically my questions surrounding everything. And if we are going to believe that she did this to herself, I'm just kind of like repainting the picture. So I appreciate you guys kind of bearing with me as I lay this out. You know, so far, it seems like the only issues in her life that we know of, although remember, she got that black eye and stuff. Do you remember that? What she claimed that she fell, right? So people have wondered that too. Like, was that really from an accident like that? Or was it a physical fight? That is also something that I didn't show those pictures because I hate seeing her with the bruising face. That is something that we need to mark down as something significant that was going on with Debbie in her life leading up to her death. So I just think, okay, Valerie's also saying she doesn't believe she fell at all. That was just very strange, that whole post and pictures that were going around. And hello, Lisa. To me, these sound like camping supplies. I can't get over the blue tarp. You know, obviously that was to protect something from elements, you know, so what was, and then it ended up raining. So did she know it was going to rain? Like, I'm still kind of stumped there. Yeah, she was in an accident with a truck driver, which was stated by her sister. Exactly. Yes. And that's why she had the rental, because her car was in the shop getting fixed. And yeah, I know this case is wild. So, all right, let's keep it moving. So now we've confirmed that from the time she's seen here to the Family Dollar parking lot, it seems like it took a little bit of an extra time. You know, she pulls in, which is strange. She does this stopping and then pulls in closer. People have chalked it up to like maybe she just wanted to, you know, get a little bit closer to the door. Hi, Brooks Richards. So glad you're here. And my friend Brooks is also someone who's not really believing this new narrative that she had done this to herself. So actually, let's do a little tally. Here's the thing. I think it's possible if I have to talk about possibilities, you know what I mean? But that's why I'm also doing this too, because I just am not buying it so far. Like I said, like, why would Amanda be in hysterics and then also confirm she has no record of mental illness? Debbie's body hadn't even been found at that point when that scene was going on. You know, Debbie is seen buying food, you know, I don't know. I'm just not, what was the point in buying all the tarp, the blue tarp? What is the blue tarp for?
And no one has had, yes, they found her on CCTV footage buying gas. That would be a good leak if they knew that information. Then maybe it would be like, okay, I guess your guys' avenue might be correct. But it's like, I haven't heard that, although we don't know. No one's buying it, really. To me, it almost seems like she waited for a front space because someone wanted to watch her in the store. Yeah, I mean, even when she's in the parking lot, when she leaves the store and then she backs out and then turns around and is kind of parked somewhere else for a second and then pulls away, they're saying that that's when her phone, Debbie's phone, sent the Venmo. But that also was something that stood out to me too. Like, did they just not want people to see them, like who were in the store or who were around them? Yeah, buying gas in a can for the vehicle. Well, they're claiming that they found one at the scene, possibly melted, that we showed in that picture. I'll show the picture again too when we finish this little. And now people have said that they think that she was smoking a cigarette, remember? Yeah, maybe to sit on, but not for the fire. I don't know. The blue tarp is throwing me off. And also, do we know where the lighter is? This is something that we have been asking. And I always thought it was sort of strange the way she entered the store. Like, she kind of looked like she was wobbling there. People have said that she has back issues. So maybe she just kind of has like I don't know. Do you guys think her walking it? To me, I was like, was the door heavy? You know how sometimes you go to open a door and it's like, oh, geez, that was heavier than I thought. And you kind of look, or is that just me? I don't know. I just feel like, was she drugged at this point? I don't know. I just feel like her walk into the door there was a little bit strange. Hi, Blondie. Thanks for being here. Yeah, the doors can be heavy. So true. And there was a game there, or that day, right? So because if we're going to think that she did this to herself, why would she bother getting all dolled up for the game? That's what I'm not understanding. And I have mentioned that I thought she sort of had bedhead, but people kind of said like, that's not really anything. It just seems like, with the red tote, she was trying to color coordinate even more so for the game. You know what I mean? Like, why bring her purse with her if this was something that she was doing to herself too? That was something else I thought, like, what would be the point? Like, where was her license, guys? Help me out. My head's everywhere with this game, or this case. So there was a game that day. I'm reading comments, sorry. And thank you, Brooks Richards, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. It kind of seems like she was going to a picnic. I don't know why. I agree. Where is the lighter? Mike said, great point. What? I forgot what I said. So here, apparently, she leaves. She sits in the car, and this is when she's sending the Venmo message. And allegedly, now we're finding out she sent or went to send a text to her son that said, I love you. But it wasn't found until they subpoenaed records, and it never went through. So why wouldn't, okay, so here she backs out. And this is why I was saying, like, maybe they wanted her to face the other way. So it was like less around people. And then when she pulled in, we theorized maybe people in the car wanted to see her in the store. So now she pulled in
like we seen earlier, she parked next to that van that was white that, you know, happened to just pull away too. And then they made her move, like theorizing, guys, if someone's in the van with her, they made her move closer so that they're able to watch her in the store. She gets out of the store and they say, pull over here. You know, that way they can see like what's going on better, or it's away from people in the store from seeing them, and then pulls away. Just theorizing. No lighter was found. Even if the lighter caught fire, remnants of the lighter would be at the scene. And why? Oh, her being dressed for the game, right? If she's doing this to herself and she's had it, why are you all festive for the game? That was that day. So seems like she had plans, you know. I think she had her driver's list, since I think Steve misspoke. Help me out, guys. Did she have, yeah, there was a game, 4 p.m. Thank you. Odd choice of clothing to unalive yourself, in my opinion. I agree. No lighter, but supposedly they left a mess and missed an unfired round. So not sure how much I trust their search techniques, right? And they had to go back to the scene, according to that article I read. And that's when they found like, oh yeah, this might be a gas can burned. And yeah, no message to her husband, crazy crime chick. Yeah. And that's the other thing too. Why would she choose to send Amanda the money through Venmo and say her goodbye to Amanda through the Venmo like that, which is totally different than sending the text to the son? You know, why wouldn't she have just texted Amanda, you know, as well as her son? It just makes no sense that that last communication with her children was different. It's just everything, you know, the Venmo and the money, we don't know where the money is. The Venmo is like leads directly to Amanda, which is just very suspicious too. So far we have the stuff that we played earlier in the stream that shows Amanda and her boyfriend in disputes, to the point where Debbie is involved in calling and trying to intervene because he's destroying property. It's just, you know, Amanda's the issue in that situation leading up to all this. Amanda gets this money that we don't know where it is. That just stands out as a red flag. Amanda came to town, 2 days prior to Debbie passing? The other thing I want to know is, does Debbie get paid on Fridays? So this happened on a Saturday. Did she just get paid? Did somebody know that she just got paid? You know what I mean? All right, let's continue on with just this footage. And the other thing too about the husband is people were kind of like, I don't know if the son had her blocked, but that's interesting, Brittany. It's interesting too about the husband. They were saying like, oh, hi, Johnny. They sleep in separate beds because he snores. Now I'm thinking like, what is that the truth? You know, what was their relationship really like? Like in all accounts, it looked good. They were kind of recently married. It had been less than a decade, but we do remember that Steve doesn't call Amanda his stepdaughter. He made sure to say something in his 911 call that seemed like he was distancing himself from her being his daughter. If you guys remember, I can't remember his exact words, but we also know that there was a neighbor that pretty much said that she heard arguments the night prior. So that's another thing that I'm like thinking about too. Like, okay, so there's arguments being heard. Steve wasn't sleeping in the same room with her. Steve left to go to work and didn't see Debbie all morning, remember, or speak with her. I'm like, what happened the night before? I just keep thinking like, because if we're going to think something was going on, like, did it have to do with Steve? Did it have to do with Amanda? Was it an argument about Amanda with her husband, Steve? Let me scroll up because Somebody said something. Just looking through chat. She didn't do this to herself. She went to go get some pills, I bet. Clayton County near Forest Park, Jonesboro is a bad drug area. The whole county is bad. What would she need gas for? Like, if it was about that, like if it was about drugs, what was the gas can for? She doesn't need it for the rental. There's no way. I mean, was there a cookout? Was she in?
But here's the added twist. In a statement.
Yeah, this is the added twist too. Let me pause it real quick. Yeah, I guess that's the thing is like if the husband does snore, I can understand that. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that since they were sleeping in separate beds that they have a bad relationship. Totally agree. I'm just trying to paint this whole picture and kind of debunk this whole she did it to herself. So I want to make sure that there was nothing significant with Steve the night prior that would make him not want to talk to her all day. And then also, you know, it just seems like I just need to knock everything off the list. And what was that argument about? But here's the other thing that brings my questions to the forefront about this case. If we're going to believe that this was something that she wanted to do on purpose, then, you know, why was there reports that Amanda told law enforcement that she was with her mother, Debbie, that day at the dollar store? So this report came out on September 28th, okay? Less than 2 weeks away from her death. So this story comes out and it's not really making sense to me if we're going to think that she did this to herself, because now it's like, yeah, true. That's the other thing, Delana, is she said, well, that black eye she had a while back still bothers me. I'm not sure I believe that it was from a fall. Exactly. So it's just, I just have to keep it on my list as sort of a red flag or something that might be nothing at the same time. You know, we always talk about something or nothing. I think that Steve right now, even though hasn't been on my like suspect list, I just want to know what the noises the neighbor heard the night prior, you know, what type of mental state was Debbie in at this point? If we're going to say that she did this to herself, I'm not there yet. You know what I mean? But yeah, was she bringing gas to somebody? I don't know. And then the other thing is too, remember in the reports where they said that law enforcement, some officers saw the van there before XM radio pinged it and found it. The day prior, the day that she allegedly died, somebody around 5 o'clock, an officer driving on the highway saw the van there, but he didn't think anything unusual about it because he claimed that, you know, people stop there all the time. So was Debbie meeting somebody there? And then was she ambushed? That's a good question with the gas can bringing somebody gas. We got to put that on the board as a possibility, because I'm just trying to make the gas can make sense. There has to be another vehicle. So anyways, hi Mary, back to, hold on, somebody did I do property maintenance and have one with me most of the time. I can't leave them there because they will get snatched if not locked up, and it's a hazard. Gas cans are we referring to? Oh my gosh, you know what? That sounds plausible too. So many different scenarios. My dealer also used to ask me to get them random things at the store before I met them. again, we're keeping things out there. I don't want to say that this is what was going on with Debbie. I have nothing to prove to me. And congratulations on your sobriety too. You bring good insight, so thank you. Right, where's the video of her buying gas? So they did find remnants of gas on her shirt. So, you know, her abdomen and lap was charred, not just burned, guys, charred. Okay, guys, here's the added twist.
Investigators say over the weekend, Collier's daughter, Amanda Bearden, told them she was at the Clayton Family Dollar that Saturday. A review of security video and interviews so far hasn't backed that claim up.
So why is Amanda saying that she was with her? And we've brought this up in previous live streams on this case too. But now it brings different meaning if we're going to think that this was something that Debbie had planned herself, you know, goodbye, love you. You know, it's just, why would there be talk of law enforcement telling the media that according to Amanda, the daughter, she claimed she was with her at the dollar store? So then was she in the car? You know what I mean? Like, what is coming out with this whole story? And then we never heard much about that again. Like, I think there was another article that spoke on it that same weekend. Never heard about it again. These photos were sent to me by CDT. They're from the Daily Mail, I think. But remember, why? You know, why was there part of a tree that was sawn off, leaving a jagged portion jutting up and toppled portion laying close by? The mom was found clinging to a tree, and within feet was a compact burnt area of leaves and timber. So, and then remember, we have another media report claiming that the leaves on the tree were singed off like 15 feet off the ground, which basically the flash fire, basically that's what that does. So why were there trees sawn off? You know, is this unrelated? What's going on here? Because we have a blue tarp, and then we have trees sawn. And then let me just read. I'm not going to share or change screens. I'll just leave this pause for a second. So I'm just reading more details about flash fires. So this article, well, this website, I can link it in the description box. What does flash fire mean? A flash fire is a fire that ignites and spreads quickly at a high temperature, but only lasts for a short duration. These fires are sudden and are caused by ignition or a combustible material, such as a solid dust, liquid, aerosol, or gas that has been dispersed into the air. And then it goes on to talk about, OSHA and things that they have in place at workplaces to limit flash fires and all that. And it basically says, once ignited, a flash fire quickly consumes all of the available fuel in its environment. If the fuel is completely consumed before the combustible material there is a risk of reignition. Flash fires are a significant occupational hazard in many industries such as gas, oil, as well as manufacturing industries that generate combustible dust. Then it goes on to basically say a hazard for flash fire in workplaces says fatalities. So they require them to wear flame-resistant clothing to reduce the risk of the flash fires in those workplaces, which we actually learned that in the Watts case because Chris was wearing fire-resistant clothing that day, etc. So we kind of learned about that. But Yeah, that would explain why the gas can, I mean, I don't know how they missed it. Hold on, let me show the picture of that. That would sort of explain why the gas can was almost non-existent. The flash fire. And thank you guys for being here and going through this with me. So this to me looks like it could be the plastic. We haven't heard anything Crazy Crime Chick about her hair or her face burned. They've strictly stuck to charred abdomen and then lap area. Yeah, that's what I'm not understanding too, is like, what if it was, and why wouldn't her hair be burned and all that? There was soot in her nostrils. Yes, thank you, Allison. And they claimed that it was just her abdomen. Yeah, and why would she drive that far to do it to herself? Doesn't make sense. So, yeah. Let me go back to what we were looking at, and then I will pull up the videos. So also, I'm not going to change screens, but I have another website that's basically talking about the statistics of this way of unaliving yourself. And obviously, I'm sure everyone knows at this point that the statistics and just the idea of this going down that way is just not something that I think people who even have mental illness would choose to do, you know, with different avenues. Yeah, she did buy the red bag at the store, which was found near the scene. And, you know, I think that the red matching her outfit is significant too. I don't know. So a lot of articles about that way of demise refers to the statistics being much higher for people outside of the US. So a lot of it was talking about how that is more common in other countries. It pretty much, this one article I found that was speaking about something in Colorado, it says, in America, self-immolation for its own sake is rarely a motivation. Hold on. Okay, I just wanted to pause it on this image. Thank you guys for bearing with me. So yeah, in America, self-immolation for its own sake is rarely a motivation. There are far less painful and lower profile ways to unalive yourself. According to researchers in Seattle's University of Washington who examined the socioeconomic, cultural, and psychiatric patterns of self-immolation in a 2011 article published in the journal Burns, the horrific spectacles of self-burning and unaliving by fire, behaviors recorded in text, ancient and modern, continue our day today, but self-immolation accounts for around 1% of all suicides in high income countries. And then it says examples, Western Europe and the United States. And then it goes on to say it's significantly higher in other countries, and it goes on. I can link these sources in the description box too for you guys to read the whole articles and all that. But, you know, obviously very low in stats. And then we're going to look at stuff that'll pretty much back that up too. So here it's pretty much saying, you know, when K9 responded to the scene, and thank you so much, Leo Girl, for becoming a member. So happy to have you here. And Brian, that is definitely a plausible theory. We have to keep it as a possibility. So it says, you know, when K9 unit responded to the scene and initiated a search, the search resulted in locating a red tote bag, a partially burned blue tarp, and eventually the victim's partially nude and burnt body grasping a small tree. So, no mention of the lighter. I've looked through the police report, no mention of a lighter there. I'm sure other channels have realized no mention of a lighter. If this was something she'd done to herself, where is the lighter? It should be laying right there nearby. This was the other thing that came to sight from a Georgia newspaper that was reporting on this early on in the case. At the scene, there was a plastic planning container, as you see here, and those are birdshot bullets that were shot through it. And for those who don't know what birdshot is, it's pretty much a very, very small light round of like a shot. It can, what is it? Shotgun pellets or whatever it's called. It's like, it's not a BB gun, but it's just for birds. Like, that's why it's called birdshot. It's actually what killed Kurt Cobain. If it's fired at a close range, definitely can do damage, but that's not what it's used for, pretty much. So, is this unrelated? Is this related? Same with the other bullet that was found out there. Remember the bullet? I didn't include it in this video, but we've looked at it in other videos. How do you explain that? Although we don't have the autopsy, we don't have her actual cause and manner of death. They're claiming that she survived the initial burning. Did you guys hear that in that article? How? Okay, birdshot is like BBs. Thank you, Brittany. Okay, thank you, Lisa. Yes, close range, very small animals like quail. And that's the thing, is this was near like a wildlife reservoir from my understanding, or something like that. So was this just there before Debbie was ever there? You know what I mean? I don't know. Was that other bullet there before Debbie was there? But it's just so many weird things here. You know what I mean? But now let's carry on, because that's just another question I have. So here is, again, Andrew's father requesting funds to help him get a polygraph, claiming he's innocent and he needed funds to help with that. Hello, Carolina. Thanks for being here. And thank you, everyone who has joined us also since we've started. So just drinking some coffee, guys. Hi, Pink Dahlia. It's good to see you. Please give a thumbs up if you guys haven't already. And I'm just going to share my screen and play the court TV segments that I wanted to play with you guys. So bear with me 1 second. So this was a court TV segment on the case from weeks ago, but I want to revisit what the medical examiner here is pretty much saying. And he's done thousands of death scenes and obviously very credible. I'm sure you guys will recognize him, but yeah.
Incident report, significant stuff. Officers proceeded southeast into the woods where they found a red tote bag near an uprooted tree. Remember, that's the bag she just purchased that day. Sergeant Neal observed a red tote bag laid on its side near an uprooted tree. At the root ball of the tree, Sergeant Neal observed what appeared to be the remains of a fire. As he approached the fire, he looked further down the embankment. Sergeant Neal observed what appeared to be a partially burnt, blue in color tarp. That's the tarp she just bought at the dollar store. He observed a nude female, and now we're understanding it's partially nude, laying on her back, grasping a small tree with her right hand. Sergeant Neal observed Collier's remains to be a
So I just want to pause it right there to kind of paint more of a picture. So the blue tarp is partially burnt. As he looked further down the embankment from the tarp, he observed nude female laying on her back. So she's not laying on the tarp. You know, so it's not like, oh, she wanted to stay dry or she wanted to lay down on it or, you know, what? And it's partially burned, but then she's further down from it. So I'm not understanding this. So was the burned area, okay, so observed a red tote being laid on its side near an uprooted tree. And then it says he observed what appeared to be remnants of a fire. He approached the fire further down the embankment. Okay, so yeah, it seems like there's like a scene from the fire. If you guys are following this with me, there's a fire and remnants of it. Then there's a partially burned tarp. Then he goes further and he sees her laying on her back grasping the tree. So it's not like she burned right there. The fire and all that was right there, and that's where her body was. Like it's the fire, tarp, her. And remember, it's just her abdomen. And we talked about possibly her shirt and all that being burned and combusted. But, you know, where in reference to all that is this gas can that they found, which was after this report was made. You know, this is sort of like blowing my mind a bit. Could the jersey have burned off of her so quickly and completely that her shoulders, arms, and hair didn't burn? That's what I'm saying. It's like, you would think like, okay, yes, I can believe that sometimes clothing has like a something on it that'll say like flammable or something. Why didn't the red tote catch fire? You know what I mean? The tarp is partially burned. I'm like so confused. And yeah, what did Mike say about the shotgun? What, that the bird shot? Yeah, you would think that somebody would have heard the shotgun. Yeah, because there was bird shot found on that planter, and then that bullet that was found, which wasn't from a shotgun, I don't think, but who knows? I don't know much about it. Bullets don't have anything to do with Debbie, in my opinion, right? I know it's hard to say. It seemed like that one bullet was laying on top of the grass, which made me think like, okay, it seemed like it was recently dropped, but how would you really know? You'd have to do an experiment, and I'm sure it's not reliable. I think we are visualizing this wrong. It was not a fire. It was like a lighter and hairspray. Yes, I used to do that with my brother as a kid. Like a whoosh that started her clothes melting. Do not do it like flames. Yeah, that's true. Flash fire. I mean, it's different than an explosion. It's literally like you said, hairspray. You hold a lighter up and you spray hairspray, and it's like a torch. So that's why the trees were singed 15 feet up. My thing is like, how is her face and hair and all that like not described as burned? It's just her stomach. And it's like, she would have had to got the lighter out of the packaging. You know, why there was gas on her clothing, they're saying. So what did she do? Like, what are we supposed to be visualizing here? So then what? She ran down the embankment, you're thinking? Okay, let me play the rest of this while I'm looking through chat, because my jaw is just like on my table and I'm just trying to
apparently burned with what appeared to be charring to her abdomen. Let's bring back in our guests, Erica Morse, Corey Pegues, Joseph Scott Morgan, Mike King. We've got all our investigators lined up tonight. Joseph Scott Morgan, you've been to many death scenes before. Let's talk first, though, about quickly saying no evidence of a kidnapping or suicide. What would it be at a scene that would tell you, no way, was this a suicide?
There's been a lot of chatter in the media and on social media in particular, where people have mentioned this idea of self-immolation, where people, you know, and I think in the course of my...
They are taking away our rights. and flooding our communities with assault weapons. And they're counting on you.
Multi-decade career, I may have worked 2 self-immolations, and that means where you douse yourself with gas to take your life and you set yourself on fire. To the best of our knowledge at this point in time, there are no gas containers that they make note of in this report that are immediately adjacent to the body. And this burning is limited to a very specific area. Well, let me rephrase that. He stated that there was charring to the abdomen. And so does that mean that there are other degrees of burns on the body and then specific to charring? And I find it very curious here in that, we've heard people say, well, the body was nude. Now we're hearing it's partially nude, that she's wearing clothes on the lower half of her body, but she's absent a shirt. Remember that shirt that we saw in the video, Ben? The Bulldog shirt. I wonder if that's the one that she's absent up top. Where's the shirt? Where is it? They don't make any mention of that at this point in time. And the fact that they would jump to this idea that this is not a suicide, that means that they've eliminated things like methodologies in order to take your life. Gunshot wound to the head is, arguably the most common. Hanging. There's any number of places out in this wooded area she could have hung herself. There was apparently no evidence of that. Toxicology is pending, I would imagine. So we don't know what she might have on board relative to anything that might be in her system at this point. That's going to take some time.
And again, this is an older report, so we are still waiting on the toxicology for this. Obviously, he reiterates the statistics that I kind of read through a little bit ago about it being very rare, especially in women in the U.S. Mike said the only thing I can think of is if the gas can caught fire, she freaked on fire and had a heart attack. But then where is the lighter? And why is she there, like lighting a fire? And what's the blue tarp for? And why? I don't know, guys. I need the phone records and the information there. And also help me if I'm, wrong in this. Has anyone ever mentioned the paper towel roll and all that? I know the scene was a little bit of a mess. Was there proof that the paper towel rolls were found and burned, or help me out with the paper towels? Yeah, why is she there? And the other thing I don't understand too is, remember when her van is found and Amanda shows up in hysterics? She got there before the cadaver or one of the dogs found Debbie. So, she got there rather quickly, and they estimated that, if she was in Athens, it was, 70 miles or 70 minutes away, but she had gotten there in a closer amount of time. Come to find out, she was staying at some other place close by. It's just very convenient. Yes, paper towels there and burned. You could see paper towels at the scene. Okay, yeah, I thought I did see that. But I want to know, is it the whole roll? What is missing? Because we need to account for how many rolls did we see her put in the bag? And why take the time to match for the football game that day and be all festive? You see, she is very pulled together. She always had matching earrings, matching a necklace. It matched her eyeshadow, very much like my mom. And smiling, and people who have made comments about knowing Debbie, in Facebook groups, pretty much say that she was just a kind, sweet lady. 2 rolls she bought. The metal from the lighter would still be present. Exactly. It was a butane lighter, though. You have to hold them down for a very long time to make them melt the button and explode. Is it so it wasn't a lighter for the grill? Was it the long lighters, or just a little cigarette lighter? Yeah, Mary's saying she wasn't alone. Yeah, there should be parts of the lighter there. Would the lighter blow up if there was a flash fire? Flash fires, from what I've seen, were around 800 degrees, it said. And remember, it's flash. It's not something consecutive. And there was charred paper there in the pic I saw. Yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah. A family member said in a group for Debbie that Debbie was very much into her looks, makeup, and hair, always done. And here she's matching the jersey. She buys a tote to even match the jersey, you know. So why would she do this to herself? Like, it's just not adding up. Like, why would you, if you care about your looks that much, in a good way, I'm not saying anything negative about it, it just doesn't align with doing it this way. You know what I mean? Let's continue. Again, I'm only playing this part with this guy, and then I'm going to switch it to the one that was airing yesterday, which I think is around 12 minutes. And then we can just chit chat some more, and I'll look through some notes.
But they haven't released anything from the state medical examiner and through the Habersham County coroner relative to any hints here, other than, which is really bizarre, we're ruling out suicide. It's off the table at this point. So they're looking at something else. And I agree with you. She didn't just accidentally fall down this.
So he kind of said that it was bizarre at that point that they were ruling it out that she had done this to herself.
And there happened to be a burn spot up top, a burn on her body, and a partially burned tarp down below. Those things just don't add up. It's super bizarre, to say the very least.
Mike King, does this strike you as any sort of...
All right, so we've already kind of gone through that prior. So let me just change my screen again and play the one that aired last night. If you have seen it, then please just stay and watch it with us. If you haven't seen it, then let me know your thoughts on it. And for those on replay, thank you for watching, and I hope you comment your thoughts down below.
There is no evidence to suggest or support that this incident was related to a kidnapping or that this was a suicide.
Okay, from the beginning, not a kidnapping, not suicide. Then 9 days later, September 30th, we got this update from the sheriff.
There is no information or evidence to this point that shows that this was something random, that there was something that was not from somebody that she either knew or somebody who she had some association with. That's what we're seeing at this time. So based on that information, we do not believe that this is a random act of violence. We do not believe that this is the act of a serial killer. We believe that this act was deliberate and personal.
So there, it seems we're investigating a murder that seemed to be deliberate and personal, right? Now, I want you to take a look on the screen, this report from Habersham Now, who's been covering this case in depth. And it says, a 6-week-old murder investigation in Habersham County may not have been murder after all. Sources close to the investigation into the death of Debbie Collier now say she may have died as a result of an accident or suicide. We may live in a world where we never know for sure, the source says. Wow, like I was not expecting that tonight. Let's bring in our guest, try to make some sense of this. Joining.
And I want to know also the source that was speaking to that, because he's reading from the article that I read through in the beginning of this live, in case you guys missed it. That's just like a portion of it. The sources is never like named, and they never say like law enforcement sources or, you know, even on court TV here. Like, I find it interesting, and I'm not saying that the source isn't legit. I'm just wondering, like, why isn't it more specific, I guess? Because sometimes you'll see source close to law enforcement or something like that. A lot of people would just like to know the source, I guess, because like I also read through, the family is confused. The son is wondering, you know, what's going on, and he feels like they're laughing at him pretty much. And we read through his post through that on Facebook. So it's just not adding up to even the family members. And he left his Facebook post as he's looking for help from the internet. So if we have to put pressure on, you know, getting answers in this, then we'll just keep her name and face out there. But yeah, we read through his statement earlier in the stream in case you guys missed it.
Tonight in Clarksville, Georgia, reporter and publisher for now Habersham.com, where we got that information. Joy Purcell is with us. In Jacksonville, Alabama, professor of forensics at Jacksonville State University, former senior investigator for the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office, and the host of the Body Bags podcast, Joseph Scott Morgan, with us. And in Los Angeles, California, retired FBI Special Agent Bobby Chacon. Great to see everyone. Joy, let me start with you. I was not expecting this. I don't know if anyone was. So this now, we don't even know if we're looking at a murder at this point? Is that what you're hearing?
That is what I'm hearing, Vinny. Of course, we have not received the autopsy report. We still don't know the official cause and manner of death. There are still a lot of.
And notice that she just said, that is what I'm hearing, Vinny. And, she's reported on this case the whole time, but who's telling her that? And obviously they keep their sources close to the vets, but even reporters, but still, it's just very curious, and Georgia newspaper also came out this week saying that someone from law enforcement told them that they'd have a conclusion very soon. So then the son calls the sheriff and he's like, hey, like, I'm hearing that through the newspaper that you're going to have a conclusion soon. Like, what's going on? What do you got for me? And pretty much is telling all of us that they laughed in his face. So is this like tactic or what's going on?
Unanswered questions in this investigation. But at this point, having spoken to several sources very close to this investigation, it appears that this may be something other than what we have all suspected and been told by law enforcement from the beginning, which is that this is a murder investigation.
All right, Joseph Scott Morgan, you've been at way too many death scenes, right? But I want you to take a look at this. This is from the Habersham County Sheriff's Office. Let's remind everyone about the scene here of Debbie's death. Habersham County Sheriff's Office K-9 unit responded to the scene and initiated a search. The search resulted in locating a red tote bag, partially burnt blue tarp, and eventually the victim's partially nude and burnt body grasping a small tree down a ravine. The victim was deceased. Joseph Scott Morgan, remembering that, and now understanding that this investigation is taking an unexpected turn, how do we make sense of this? What's going on?
Well, the problem is that we still are absent an autopsy report and a tox report at this time. And Vinny, it's not like this was done in a vacuum. They were both done, both of these tests, well, the examination and the testing are both done by the GBI. It's literally one section that's across the building complex from the other. So it's not like these two are not communicating with one another. I don't understand what the, what the holdup is relative to this. The police are obviously exploring, because they're kind of the gatekeeper here relative to any further information that's going to come out. And I think that they're exhausting everything they have. What's very interesting to me, Ben, is that now they have an arson investigator in this case, and the clothing that was found at the scene, they did detect the presence of accelerant there. And, the shirt, I think, which we've talked about at length. And that's something that can specifically be kind of sussed out in all of this. And one of the things we're going to be looking for when that autopsy report comes out, two things. First off, we're going to hear about her lungs. Is this something, did she inhalate anything? And generally with fire-related deaths, you'll have soot in the airway and down into the lungs. And secondly, they're going to run a test called a carboxyhemoglobin level. And essentially what they're looking for is carbon monoxide in her system. And that is kind of a derivative of a fire burning, and you're inhalating that along with the debris. So that's going to be real critical as well. And those tests are easily done. It should be turned around pretty quickly. I mean, we've already got the arson results back. So we're just kind of sitting back and waiting right now, man.
Bobby Chacon, you've got the video of her 15 minutes away. It takes her 45 minutes to get there, but 15 minutes away at the Family Dollar store. We've got this cryptic message that she sent. They won't let me go. She sends money to her daughter after she exits the store while she's in the parking lot there. I can't put these pieces together.
Yeah, they don't seem to fit, right? I mean, that's the problem here. They don't seem to fit. They take you in different directions, right? Is it an accident? Is it a suicide? I would almost set up two investigative teams, one to follow the narrative of a possible accident and the other the possible suicide. And obviously those two teams would look at this from different angles, and you see what physical evidence supports each one of those, and then you move down those roads. There's also reporting that initially there was not a gas can, but then they went back and they found remnants of a gas can under where that burned car was. So, it's highly unusual for a woman to commit suicide by burning themselves, by setting themselves on fire. When you see the statistics on suicide, that is one of the fewest ever to take place. Setting themselves on fire, anybody, but especially among women, it's not a common way to do it. So you factor all of those things in. It looks like the fire started in the car and then she was able to get out of the car. When people are on fire, they tend to run, which unfortunately doesn't help. We always say the drop and roll to put out the fires. You're running, you're actually feeding.
So here's my thing, though. Remember, because he just said maybe she caught fire in the car and then, got out and ran. Well, what? And grabbed the gas can? Like, why would she grab the gas can? It just makes no sense. Like, I guess if like I'm not picturing, and we seen video. I seen in the chat somebody asked if she smoked. We seen like in the video, in another live stream where it looked like she was smoking before she went into the store. Again, it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm not certain that she was a smoker, that she wasn't 100%. But why would she be smoking with that gas? Why was the gas in the car? You know what I mean? Like, especially when you get a rental, like they give you a full tank, especially like an insurance company. If she was in an accident, like they're not going to just, like, I just don't see the need for her to have that gas can, even if it was an accident. You know what I mean? Then what? How would it burn her? Why was there gas on her shirt? And, it's just not really aligning. And I was just looking through chat. If someone else was there and they could have thrown gasoline on her, I wonder, did her bank card show her going to the gas station that day? Did law enforcement mention Debbie buying gas? We haven't heard anything about gas until they just said that they went back to the scene weeks later and found remnants of what looked like a plastic gas can. So it's crazy. And remember, like I'm saying, if this happened like in the car as like an accident or whatever, her car door was shut. So she's on fire and she did things to shut her door. That's where I almost think like, oh gosh, did that cop who said that he didn't stop, did he stop and he seen the car door was open, but he didn't see anything else, so he just shut it and left and then never made mention of it? I don't know. That I'm just theorizing and thinking if this did happen in the car or something like that. Because they stated that the car was closed, but they're the van, sorry, but the door was shut and was unlocked. I don't know. Just thinking out loud.
The fire. So if she was running towards that ravine and grabbed it as she was burning, we don't know, but I would set up 2 different investigative teams to look at both of those and kind of do it separate and see where those things lead. Of course, we're not going to know until, all of this comes out. And that I'm loath to make investigative information available publicly because oftentimes it seems like the investigation's going in a lot of different ways, and it is. We don't have a narrative. Later on in a trial, you'll hear the narrative, but in the early stages of an investigation, we have to go in every different direction that it takes us. So sometimes it looks disheveled, but that's the nature of the process. And so we have to kind of follow all these things. That's why you heard 2 weeks ago that this may have been a murder investigation, and now you're hearing it's something else, because different things develop early in the early stages of an investigation. Doesn't mean they're not doing their job. Doesn't mean they don't know what they're doing. It just means that these things are a mystery, and you have to suss out each one as it comes up. We know certain things. Doc is really good at as doing the science of it, but then there's the other things of it. I would be investigating whether she had any mental health issues in the past. Did she see a counselor, a therapist?
And as far as her daughters stated right there at the scene, those questions were answered by no. She had no history of mental illness. And yeah, Cody, exactly. She found a convenient place to pull over on fire. Craziness. And did she pull over to smoke 70 miles away from home? Right. Something made her go there. Something was driving her there. And that's the other thing, is if this was like an accident, like, so then she grabbed the bag with everything in it, and like, why was she matching the bag to her whole outfit the day of the game if this was all a plan to just drive out there and just end it all? I think someone sloshed gas on her and lit her on fire and pushed her down. Makes sense. She was meeting someone, in my opinion. We need to re-listen to the 911 calls too. Not today, but the next Debbie live stream. We should listen to the 911 calls.
Because that cryptic message, I'm not saying that she heard voices. I'm saying she's referring to somebody when she says they won't let me go. Who's the they that she's referring to? And did she ever have issues like that in the past?
Big part of all this. All right, our guests are staying with us. We're going to talk more about this when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
So that's the other thing too, is like back to the Venmo stuff, like he was just saying, who's the they? And like, why would she be saying that to her daughter? You know, like, why didn't she state in her, hold on guys, let me rewind this. Why didn't she state in her text to her son, they got me, or they this, or they that? You know what I mean? It's just strange that her text to her son, which didn't go through, was like a different goodbye, allegedly, if we're going to theorize, than the text to her daughter, where she sends her daughter like thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something is red flag around the daughter still. And like we've kind of worked through in this live stream, everything leading up to her death, from what we have, like through 911 records and body cam footage, like it involved her daughter. So I think that explains why the investigation went the way it did, even in the mainstream media. And they were looking at her daughter from day one, because there's a reason that we kind of all were like, this is strange. Yeah, no text to the husband, Cody, but she did, that Venmo was like a shared account with her husband, but that, yeah, no text to the husband, which is why I'm like, they didn't communicate at all that day, which is strange. You know what I mean? So yeah, you wouldn't pour it on your lap. I agree there. And yeah, law enforcement said nearly everything she bought was found at the scene, proves she didn't do this to herself. Nearly everything, right? That's the key word. So that explains our questions about the lighter right there in a way. I mean, I can't help but feel that way, Mandy. It seems like, oh, thank you, Vicky. Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate you. Buttercup said, I think someone was following her in another car. And, you know, Doug on No Thanks brought up a good point about Steve's 911 call, which we'll play next time. He says somebody says something about if she was meeting up with anyone or whatever. And he says something along the lines of like, that's a good question or something like that. So, you know, did he think that she was meeting up with somebody or something? I don't know.
Hi, my name's Amanda Bearden, and I filed a missing persons report on my mother last night, yesterday, excuse me, and I was just wondering if maybe I could speak with the detective that's been assigned to the case.
Do you have any further information?
I sure do. I mean, do you want the case number? I mean, I
the case number so I can look it up that way.
That's Debbie Collier's daughter calling 911 with some additional information after they reported her missing. This is before her mom was found. How about the family? Let's bring back in our guest, Joy Purcell, publisher, reporter.
And here, I mean, that's a good point, Bravo Bree. The cops botched this investigation. The cops left evidence everywhere. Why would we believe that a lighter or parts of that lighter aren't at the crime scene? Right. And I mean, they came out saying in the article that I read in the beginning of the stream that they went back to the crime scene weeks later, and that's when they found what they appear to see as melted plastic from a gas can from the flash fire. So, you know, that's good point. And you know what else is I've seen in other cases, and let me know if you guys have seen it too, where, like you said, cops botch the investigation from the start. So what they're going to do is get a reporter who will help them spin their narrative, you know, like we'll give you the story, you know, because why, like the son said to the sheriff, you know, why aren't you concerned with these leaks coming out of your office? And like Brittany said in the chat, how are we getting more information about her body? You know, like stuff is being leaked that are very pertinent to the case. And that's why the son called the sheriff and was like, anything you get new, like, I want you to bring to me. Like, why is this coming out in the media pretty much? So I don't trust really the narrative that's being pushed even by this lady. I'm sorry, but is she just being like used in a way to spout the narrative because, like you said, the cops botched it. So now they're like, well, we don't have a solid case if this was going to go to court because the crime scene was trampled. Everyone knows it. Yada, yada, yada. Who knows what else was done wrong? You know what I mean? Right, Pink Dahlia. Not enough evidence on her is pretty much you always sum up in like 3 words what what I'm saying, and I could just wrap up quick. So thank you. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of questions still.
Now, Habersham.com. Please check it out, folks. A lot of information about this case. Joseph Scott Morgan with us and Bobby Chacon. Joy, how about the family members? Have they all sort of been accounted for that day? Do investigators know what they were doing, where they were, et cetera? Do we know?
Well, it's our understanding that the local investigators have pulled back from their investigation of the family members, of course, because Amanda Bearden received the Venmo payment that was attached to that cryptic message. There was a lot of question about her and any potential involvement because of the money that she received. This family has undergone a lot of scrutiny, a lot of intense.
And honestly, it was more than just the money, right, guys? Like her statements about even what was like, remember she said that the mother's purse was at the house, and they did search warrants on these people's houses, including Amanda's. Remember, you know, in order for them to have gotten those warrants, it must have been something that would have allowed the judge to allow that. Yeah, Buttercup, I read through the son's statement in the beginning of the live stream. He's fed up with law enforcement. He's mad about leaks coming out from the investigation to the media before him. And he's asking the internet for help basically now. So, and I had heard that they know now it was definitely sent from her phone. Who said that? Yeah, that also leaked out. Exactly. From her phone, from that parking lot. So, and, you know, it doesn't mean that someone else wasn't in the car or the van, I'm sorry, and sent that, in my opinion. Yep. Pink Dahlia. I've been live for like an hour and a half, and I've been up since 7 something because I didn't know when I woke up that my power was out, and I was ready to stream with you guys in the morning, and I'm like, what?
Scrutiny. It's been a very challenging situation for them beyond the loss of their wife, their mother, their grandmother. They're having to undergo the suspicions that have been cast on them. But as I said, it is my understanding, again, speaking through those close to the investigation or with those close to the investigation, that they're pulling back from looking at the family members as potential persons of interest or suspects in this case. There's a key development that has happened since we last spoke, Benny, and there was a question as to the timing of this all. Investigators had narrowed the timeline of when they knew that Debbie Collier was alive to between 2:55 p.m. on September 10th and then 3:19 p.m. during those moments when she was seen on surveillance in the Family Dollar store. It was at 3:17 p.m. that Amanda Bearden received the Venmo payment with that chilling message, "They're not going to let me go." We have learned, again, our sources are telling us that through subpoenaed phone records, they have determined.
Okay, she's about to say that it came from Debbie's phone from that parking lot at that time. Yeah. But I want to pause it real quick and just bring attention to this comment. Were other prints besides Debbie's on the items? So that's a good question. Or even on the rental. There should be no reason why other people's prints, like from the family, would be on things in there. You know what I mean? Also, something else I just noticed, and hi Jess, thanks for being here. They just keep saying about the Venmo message, like, oh, they're not going to let me go, blah, 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 blah. I love you. But it's more than that. She said more than that. So we got to remember the rest of the Venmo. So there's a key underneath the blue flower pot outside the house or whatever. If she was doing this to herself, why would she have locked the door? Like, wouldn't she have just left the door unlocked? Like, so she leaves and she's like, I'm fed up. I can't take it anymore. I'm not going to go party with and watch this game, even though she's dressed all for the game. I'm going to get some Chick-fil-A and this is it. Why would she lock the front door and then have to leave a key outside of it? You know what I mean? And then also leave the rental car unlocked. It's just not adding up. The key aspect of it too is not making sense. It's not just a text goodbye to her daughter, in my opinion, and she had to send all that money. When you pass, your money goes to the beneficiaries. Why would she want just Amanda to have it? You know what I mean? It's just not really making sense. I don't know. It's not making sense to me. Something else too, I was just thinking. Let me play this and continue this. And also, we went through the Venmo and what my theory was about it and the blue flower pot. And just to sum that up quick is I'm feeling like it was because Amanda didn't have access because of arguments or drama to the house, or Andrew didn't. And they had to explain why when Steve got home or whatever, they were already at the house, because Steve might have been like, wait, how did they don't have a key or whatever, you know what I mean? So I think that was thrown in there into the message to explain why they had access to the residence. That was just a theory. But if we're going to go with this other scenario, if she did this to herself, what would be the point in locking the door, putting the key under the blue flower pot, and it just makes no sense. And then to say that in a message to her daughter through Venmo with money, it's just not matching the message to the son through text that never went through.
That message was sent from the parking lot of the Family Dollar store in Clayton, Georgia, which is where they know Debbie Collier was up until 3:19 p.m. Apparently, there was also another text message sent from her phone, a simple "I love you" to her son, which didn't go through, but was recovered when they got the records. And then at 3:19 p.m., she exits the parking lot, her phone goes silent, and approximately 22 hours later, she was found dead in the woods about 12 miles away.
All right, we have about a minute left. Based on this information, Joseph Scott Morgan, what does it have you thinking right now?
Well, again, my default position is always return back to the science. I want to see the autopsy report. I want to know how extensive her injuries are. It's been very vague relative to, they had a focal area of burning they keep referring to in the abdomen. And again, back to what Bobby was saying about self-immolation, it's one of the rarest forms of suicide that exists. I think I may have handled 3 in my entire career. And generally there was a severe psychotic break that had taken place relative to that. And that would mean that gas would be all over the body, the accelerant would be. So for me, I'm waiting for the records.
All right. We are out of time for tonight, but thank you.
So that's a good point, Pink Dahlia. Hold on. Let me just get us back to 2022. Yeah, 2020. This is 2021, as you know, September. So yeah, Pink Dahlia said, did I hear that the daughter knew specific things like her PIN? Yeah, she speaks about it on one of the 911 calls. Well, the calls to check up on the missing person, or the case in general. And she says something about her PIN for her accounts and stuff. So yeah, she did mention knowing PINs. If that's true, seems like she'd know where the key was. Right. And not only that, she would know how to get into her phone probably, to send the Venmo if she was in the van. And remember, she says in that one news source that we looked through earlier that law enforcement told them over the weekend that Amanda told them that she was at the Family Dollar with Debbie. And they said, but the video surveillance doesn't support that. So that was something, let's play that again, because I think that that's significant to the whole story too, that I want to raise a question about, is if this was something that just happened to take place, why, okay, that's a statement from the Sun. Why was law enforcement saying Amanda told them that she was in the Family Dollar with her? Like, why wouldn't Amanda's stories be lining up pretty much? You know, if this was nothing nefarious, everything should just make sense. Where the heck is it? Sorry, guys. I played it earlier. Okay, enjoy your day, Cody. Thanks for being here. Where is that article? Nope, that's the crime scene. And thank you guys for being here with me today. Okay. Let's just go through this again. Okay, here it is. Thank you, guys.
But here's the added twist. In a statement, investigators say over the weekend, Collier's daughter, Amanda Bearden, told them she was at the Clayton Family Dollar that Saturday. A review of security video and interviews so far hasn't backed that claim up.
So, why is that being said in September that Amanda told law enforcement that she was with Debbie there? It's just not making sense. I can't make it make sense. But it seems like you guys are in agreement. Let me just do a quick little tally of who thinks that this was, that she had done this to herself. If you think that it was nefarious and a murder, press 1. If you think that she unalived herself by burning herself, press 2. And just the main points of the live stream that I just want to highlight once again is my questions that I have about things like that. Amanda stating that she was at the Family Dollar store, and that was something that came to the news from law enforcement, it said. So that wasn't backed up by the CCTV footage. What did she mean by that, basically? Amanda had just moved to town also, 2 days before all this happened. Where's the money? Why was Amanda so hysterical at the scene before they even found Debbie? Like, nothing was announced, and then she also says not only is she hysterical at the scene, but she also says that her mother has no history of mental illness. The Venmo was sent from Debbie's phone and from the Family Dollar store parking lot. The other thing is Debbie driving in the parking lot is strange, obviously. She looked like she was driving very slowly. Now, the logs that were seen around this, the crime scene that were sawed in half, was that related to Debbie? Was the bullet found near the scene related to Debbie? Was the bird shot that was shot out in a flower potting plant related to Debbie? Now, also the time that it took from her van to be seen on that school camera footage to the time that she got to the Family Dollar store parking lot, it seemed like it took longer. So did she stop and get gas cans anywhere? Did she stop and meet somebody? We don't know that either. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of ones. 1.5 waiting for the report. I'm wondering who's their coroner. Who's their medical, who did her autopsy and who will be releasing the report and stuff. You know what I mean? Very curious there. Yeah, 1 is more likely, 2 is still a possibility. I agree there. We have to keep things in mind, but that's the thing is what was going on the day prior? The argument heard by the neighbor, Steve not talking to her all day until he found out she was missing. Like, is that normal? You know what I mean? Is that just something that they just end up doing? It's just a lot of questions still. But we're going to re-listen to the 911 calls and all that. And kind of just go through things again until we get more information. Hopefully we get it soon, because I just feel like we've been left to kind of think one thing and then suddenly it's something else. So once again, I'm so happy that you guys are here for the afternoon live stream with me. This was very random. Like I said, my power was out. So in case you joined because, you know, just by chance, usually I go live in the morning. But I appreciate you guys stumbling on here in the afternoon with me. And thank you so much. Yeah, Linda, I feel the same. I just can't see her doing this to herself. It's not making sense. Like, I can't imagine her getting dressed for the game that was that day and then just pulling off and doing it there, like so far away from home in that manner and method. Flash fire, like how would she have even known to like set one up? I don't know. I guess it's not hard to figure out gas and flame. But yeah, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't. Yeah, just like every case, it's a waiting game until we see all the reports. Agree, Scout. And on that note, we'll leave it there. And yeah, you guys just have a great weekend and have a great Halloween. Hope you guys all have a good time. But yeah, appreciate you guys.
But here's the added twist. In a statement, investigators say over the weekend, Collier's daughter, Amanda Bearden, told them she was at the Clayton Family Dollar that Saturday. A review of security video and interviews so far hasn't backed that claim up.
Bye, guys.